So first thing, we'll just start from the upper left. This is our airspeed indicator. It tells us how fast we're moving through the air.
Okay.
Pretty basic principle. For the most part, you won't care about that, and that's okay. We'll maintain the airspeeds we need. This guy is our attitude indicator. It tells us what the attitude of the airplane is, whether we're climbing, descending, turning, anything like that. Again, today you're not going to use that. We're going to use outside. And so what we're going to use is some reference on the airplane. Generally, the hood is a good reference point, and we're going to use that in conjunction with the horizon. So where the sky meets the earth, that's our horizon line.
Okay.
So for instance, when we take off, the ideal airspeed is 85 miles an hour.
Okay.
And our ideal pitch attitude is we put the hood right on the horizon. For my sight picture. Yours may be a little bit more, it might be slightly above it. But if I hold that right on the horizon, if the wind pushes the nose down, I add back pressure, get it back up. Wind pushes it up, I drop it back down. If I keep it on the horizon, I'm going to maintain my airspeed, and that's what I want to do. When we level off, we add a little bit of forward pressure, we lower the nose a little bit, and that'll level us out. And you'll have basically the nose cowling, and then about 2 or 3 inches of dirt, of earth, and then the horizon. And that'll be, we'll kind of set it up, I'll help you set it up and say, okay, now look at that sight picture, that's what you want to see. And so then you'll just maintain that, and as long as you maintain that, then we'll hold our altitude. So our altimeter, so this tells us how high we are above sea level. So right here we're about 5,000, which is the short knob, tells us 1,000 foot marks. This long knob, or pointer, points out 100 foot marks. So we're at 5,100 feet. So as we climb up, obviously they'll spin around. And so when we hold an altitude, I'll have you just try to maintain that altitude. Again, outside, but you can reference in here to see if it changed. We use our compass, obviously, to tell us what heading we're on. But since it's pretty susceptible to shaking and vibration, we use our directional gyro. We'll calibrate this so it shows the same heading as our magnetic compass. Once the engine's running, this has a gyroscope in the back that holds that steady. So it'll maintain that heading, and we'll follow that through. All right, we'll start with some switches. Over there, that red one. That is our master switch. I'll have you turn that on before we start the airplane. One more button towards me, that silver shiny one. That one's our starter button. You're going to push that to start the airplane. 2 more towards me, that far left yellow one. That's our fuel pump. We'll use that to start the airplane, for takeoff, and for landing. And then our strobe light, we're required to have that one on anytime the engine's running, so we just leave it up and on. When you turn on the master switch, that light will come on outside. It just alerts people that we're here. And then we have our magnetos. So it's our ignition. You can go ahead and put that in the ignition switch there. And if you look, we have an off position, an R, an L, and a both. So we have 2 magnetos, a right and a left. Each magneto runs its own set of spark plugs. So each cylinder has 2 spark plugs. Gets better combustion. It also has some redundancy. Just in case we lose one, we have another one firing in the background. So during the engine run-up we're going to do before we take off, we'll test those magnetos. You'll switch it from using both to just one, back to both, and then the other one. That'll test to make sure they're operating as they should. Carburetor heat, certain situations, not today, but more moist conditions, we can develop icing in our carburetor. If we suspect that, we pull that knob out, and it heats the air going into the carburetor, and it'll melt that ice. Today we'll test that during our engine run-up before we take off, and that's probably the only time we'll touch it. Our throttle, if you push the silver button, you can advance the throttle. I'm going to do that. So that's full throttle. Push the button all the way back, that's idle. It also turns. You can turn it to the right, is a fine adjustment. That adds a little bit of throttle, and to the left, that reduces the throttle back. This is our mixture control. It determines how much fuel is being mixed in the carburetor. At sea level, we use full rich mixture. At our altitude, since we're higher, we'll use a little bit less. So I'll set this during the engine run-up as well. RPM gauge, very similar to what's in your car. We have a left fuel tank, right fuel tank. Our amp gauge, how much our alternator is producing. Oil pressure, fuel pressure, oil temperature. And that's it for the instruments. Rudder pedals, when we're taxiing on the ground, you're going to have your feet up pretty much like you have them. The black part, the lower part of the pedal, that steers us. So if you push on the left, we turn left. You push on the right, we're going to turn right. So that's how we're going to steer it on the ground. And if you rock your toes forward, that silver part, that is the toe brake.
Okay.
That applies brake to either the right wheel or the left wheel.
Okay.
You want to push them both at the same time to apply them evenly, and that'll slow us down nice and even. The left one seems to grab a little more,
Okay.
so when you apply them, just push the right one a little bit more, and that'll keep us straight.
Okay.
Those are a little tricky, so they take a few uses to get
Yeah.
used to. Rudder pedal. We also use the rudder pedal to keep the airplane coordinated in flight. This turn coordinator, the bottom part, the little level part, that will tell you if you're flying straight directly into the wind or if you're flying sideways to some degree.
Okay.
It'll tell you that by the ball will be out of center.
Okay.
We want to keep the ball in the center, and the way we do that is using the rudder pedals, the black part.
Okay.
So in flight, if that ball is shifted out to the right, you want to push on the right pedal just a little bit. You want to, the memory aid is to step on the ball. So if the ball's out to the right, you step on it with the right foot,
Okay.
that moves it in the center.
Okay.
It's to the left, left foot moves it in the center.
Okay.
So once we get level flight, you won't need to use a lot of rudder, but there'll be a little bit in turns,
Okay.
and so we'll practice that. One more thing on the side panel to the left of your leg, that red lever, that's our fuel selector valve.
Okay.
We only need it. It determines whether we're pulling from the right tank or the left tank.
Okay.
For an hour flight, we'll burn from one tank, and that's okay.
Okay.
But for any reason, if we need to switch tanks, you can pull that lever back towards you where it says left tank.
Okay.
If we need to turn the fuel off for any reason, you push it down to one of those off positions. And then just behind that, there's a vent on
Yeah.
the side panel.
Yeah.
That silver lever, if you pull that back, that opens the vent. If you push it forward, it closes it. So if you need to get some air, it may be warm up there, you can pull that lever back and it'll blow air in.
Yeah.
And then back there for you, there is one here, and then on the other side. See the little vent there? So when the lever's all the way up, it's closed. If you push the lever down, that'll open it up. So if you get warm back there, you can open those up. We're always looking for other airplanes, so we'll keep our eyes looking out. If we see another airplane, we use the clock to determine where they are. 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
and they are either at or about our same level or above us, below us. That way, if you say 1 o'clock above us, I know I'm looking right about there. Everybody's looking for airplanes, front and back seat, and for the most part, we're not going to see anyone that close. But if we do see somebody close, we want to steer away from them. Before we turn to the right, I'm going to look out the right window and say clear to the right, and then we can turn right. If we're turning left, you look out the window, left window, say clear left. Just make sure there's no one there, and then we'll turn.
Like a blind spot.
Yeah, exactly. We just want to make sure if there's some airplane passing us, we don't want to turn left
Yeah.
right into them. That would be a silly way to bump into somebody. We also have a method of exchanging controls so we know who's flying the airplane. Apparently there's been some student pilot accidents where no one was flying because I thought you were flying, you thought I was flying. So the FAA created a 3-step verbal process, and the way it goes is if I'm flying and I'm turning the controls to you, I'll say you have the controls.
Okay.
You'll put your hands on, you'll take control of the airplane, you'll repeat I have the controls, and then I will let go and say you have the controls.
Okay.
So at that point you're flying the airplane. If I'm helping you with a turn, you're still flying the airplane. I'm going to let go. I'm just assisting you, saying this is how it's done, and then I'll let go. So you're flying it until we do that exchange verbally.
Okay.
Pretty simple, right? Okay, I think that's about it. That's the boring classwork. Ready for the fun part?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah? All right, so we'll follow our checklist. So we did our extra pre-flight. Everyone has their seatbelt on.
Yes.
Yes.
So we will keep the seatbelts on the whole flight, just for safety, but especially for you and I have to have them on the whole flight. We all three have to have them on for the taxi, the takeoff, and the landing. Brakes are set, so I have a brake here. Since I don't have the toe brakes on my side, I'll use this, so you'll see me reach over and grab that a few times. And I'll touch your leg a lot, and it's just because I'm reaching stuff over here. Flaps are down and retracted. Master is off. Carburetor heat's closed. What are we on, the right tank, right fuel tank there? Yep. Perfect. Mixture, full rich. 2 good turns there. And if you can turn the key 2 clicks to the right, to the left mag. That was 3. So
Oh,
1
sorry.
more. That's right. Perfect. So we'll start it on the left mag. After the engine's firing, you can reach down and turn it back to both.
Okay.
So the strobe light's on. Let's turn on the fuel pump. That's the far left yellow.
This one?
Yep, up and on. And then the far left red one.
Master.
Master, yep, up and on. And then you can drop your window. You flip that tab out of the way and just pull the window down.
This one?
Yep, just twist.
Oh.
There you go. And just yell clear prop. Nice and clear prop.
Clear prop?
Yep.
Okay.
Yell it.
Clear prop?
Yeah, yell it out the window.
Clear prop?
No one heard that. Come on. We got to make sure if anyone's around, they know we're getting ready to start the airplane.
So you say clear prop?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're clearing the prop.
Okay.
So
Property.
with
Okay.
a propeller.
Propeller. Okay.
So some people just say clear, some people say clear prop. What we're doing is saying get out of the way. We're getting ready to start the airplane.
Okay.
We're warning. So nice and loud.
Clear prop?
Very good. And then we look around, make sure no one is around,
Uh-huh.
and then push the button until the engine starts.
Close it.
Sure. Perfect. First thing we look for is our oil pressure comes up. You can turn the key to both. Very good. We want our idle to be about 1,000 RPM, which it is. And then we can turn off the fuel pump, that yellow one to the far left. Perfect. Radio master, that guy on. Then our headsets